All right, and we are live. Hello, and welcome to the Gaming Perspective, number 48. Sam, I hate you. I just hit the live button too, and that shows up in the chat. You've betrayed me.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You and your My Chemical Romance gloves have betrayed me.
Find me a river.
I got the same ones.
Oh, God, no. I do too somewhere. Anyways, welcome to episode 48 of the Gaming Perspective podcast. It has been a hell of a week, or a hell of a 24 hours. There's been a lot of crazy stuff over the past little bit. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. And of course, we have a full panel tonight. So I will get right down to introductions. Introducing from Windows Central, Mr. Jared Eden.
Well, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in, as always. And yeah, it's always some fun stuff to talk about, as always this week, and blah, blah, blah. Let's get talking. It's been a week.
Absolutely. And also introducing from Windows Central, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Yeah, it is good to be here, my bros. We are... Yeah, there's a lot. It's like nothing happened, and then all of a sudden, the second half of last week, the floodgates just opened. So let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. And also introducing from the state that won a Super Bowl, but no one knows where Tampa Bay is, Mr. Eric Jackson.
What's going on, guys? Everyone knows where Tampa Bay is now because they're in shock that no one was wearing a mask during the Super Bowl, and the mayor is like flailing, like, I swear to God, I gave them masks. I don't know why they're not wearing them. This is making us look terrible. It's like, well, hey, I mean, the count of COVID is making us look terrible and everything else, you know. But hey, you know, it's just a window into what's crazy down here. So,
at least,
yeah.
At least you guys got a Super Bowl.
Those guys got a Super Bowl. I'm a Dolphin fan.
Oh no! Oh no!
You're never gonna get a Super Bowl ever again, man.
We still hold on to the 1972 undefeated season with grim death.
Yeah, it's like the Canucks when they won the Stanley Cup in 1916 as Vancouver Millionaires or something like that. That's all we got to hold on to, but we'll hold on to it. It's over 100 years ago. But we'll do it.
Don't worry, I don't want to talk about the Denver Broncos, so we'll just move right along. But before we get into the exciting week of news and information that has graced us, so to speak, we are going to ask the eternal question that we ask every week, and that is, what have you been playing? And I'm going to start with Jared.
Well, it's not World of Warcraft this time. Well, I did play a little bit, but it's not going to be the main talking point this time. It's going to be the new game, survival game called Valheim. It came out in early access on February 2nd on Steam, and basically it's this kind of pixel look. I would almost say a high resolution PlayStation 1 pixel kind of aesthetic visual to it. Anyways, it's a great little survival game that almost has I would say good action adventure type of combat. Good construction. Overall, it's a very solid game for considering it's just entering early access, or just entered in early access on Steam. And I'm surprised at the most surprised and loving that the most dangerous enemy / object in that game are trees. I have died way too many times by being squished by a tree compared to being killed by an actual enemy. I can deal with enemies. They're fine. I can block and counterattack, and I got weapons. That's fine. But, you know, sometimes I just walk in the wrong direction with the tree and I get slammed and killed. And, yeah, it's kind of enjoyable and a little annoying at the same time. But, anyways, it's good. I'm enjoying my time. Yeah, it's definitely one of the top survival games I've probably played in recent memory.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. That's good to hear, man. I know, like, it seemed like it came out of nowhere. Like, I legitimately had never even heard the name until you mentioned it. And then right around the time you mentioned it in our chat, it was like all of a sudden, oh, like, right on my timeline. That's interesting. So that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool, man.
and that's why you should tune into this podcast, because we're always on the cusp of great things. But no, it looks really cool. I might actually check it out, even though I enjoy survival games, but I'm terrible at survival games. So it's always an adventure.
The nice part is I can always host you. Just come to my server. It's a nice cheap game of $22 Canadian right now, which is so it's not gonna burn a hole in your pocket. And yeah.
All right. Bet I will be the Grogu to your Mando. Just put me in the backpack, bro. Sam, what have you been playing, my friend?
Yeah, I didn't have a ton of time to play. I've been prepping for a lot of stuff I can't talk about right now at the moment, but I did get to put a few hours into the medium over the weekend. I haven't finished it. I don't know exactly how far I am. So I know, Jared, you and Eric have played it. I don't know if either of you have beaten it yet. But so the point I'm at is the first encounter where you have to run away. I'll put it like that.
Oh, yeah.
I finished that. So I don't know where that puts me in terms of how far I am in. But I'm a couple hours in there, right? So it's enjoyable. It's really enjoyable. It's a gorgeous game. Like, there are some shots where you just sit there and you're like, whoa, I got to take a screenshot. This looks great. The ray tracing looks great. You can definitely tell Bloober upped their technology. The whole two worlds thing, it takes a bit to get used to, but I am enjoying it. I think it's an interesting split. It's definitely, what was the phrase you used last week, Eric? Retro in the controls?
Yeah.
Controls are retro. That's the generous way to put it, for sure. It feels rough. There's just no other way of saying it. But, it's one thing. The story is interesting. I will say it is very slow-paced. I haven't finished it, so I'm not going to make a judgment call on whether that's a bad thing or a good thing, but it's definitely confident in taking its time, is the way I'd put it, in terms of doling things out. But, I'm still playing. It has me interested. So, that's the main thing I was able to play.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you're enjoying your time with it. Eric, what have you been playing?
I'm almost in the same boat as Sam. Like I wouldn't say I've been really playing too much. Been kind of busy over the last week, but yeah, in the time that I've had, I did jump back into the medium, and we're not too much further, I think, from where Sam is, because you were being chased by the big beast, right? Pretty much, you said. Yeah.
That, like, right after that first encounter. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit past that point. Like, 'cause I don't want to get, it's not really too much spoiler-ish, I guess, but I'm kind of in the part where there's a switch, so to speak, and you're kind of working something else out, Jared and Nick, you might know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in that part now. But like I do love the atmosphere of the game. Like Sam said, the environments look really nice. Like I said, I'm okay with some of the retro feel of it, but it is sort of grating on me just a little bit, because I'm like, I don't have a problem with the tank controls per se. I can work with that, but let's speed up the run a little bit so I can get to where I'm going.
Agree, definitely. It's
like, nobody runs like this. No one trots.
Exactly. Like I don't know about y'all, but I have two modes. I have leisurely walk,
right,
and then I have panting dog run.
Right.
Two, but like,
right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
They do like this little saunter, like I'm sort of like mall jogging, like 85-year-old people do.
It's like you got 12-inch heels on, and you're trying to stay
Right.
balanced, and you're trying to run at the same time. It's just like, that's not working.
Right. So the thing that's, I am digging the game, but the thing that definitely has me pressing on is knowing that it's not a game, from what I understand, that overstays its welcome. Like, I think they did themselves a service by, I heard it's about 7 to 8 hours.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to see it through to the end, of course. But I'll say it again. I think Bloober is, again, they're a team that just needs, I don't know if they need to be acquired to get more funding. I don't know if what it is, but they have something that they do really unique and really well. They just need a coach of some sort to push them to a championship, Like, they're right there. Like, they really have something. They're a talented studio. They've kind of stepped it up like every game that they've done in some kind of way. But they just have that one thing that doesn't get it the home run, to where people are like, boom, there it is. They did it. So I like to see that from them. But this is close. I like the theme of it. You know, not scared. I saw people saying that they were like terrified of it and scared. I'm like, what, where?
Yeah, no. There's been one jump scare that got me when I played. There's one jump scare. You probably know the one it is. And I was like, okay, all right. Whew, little heart palpitation, but no. If I had to use a word, it's not scary. It's more like low dread. Yeah, maybe tense. I think more dread. Like it's just, I feel like there's a shoe that's gonna drop here, and I can't wait to see what that shoe is. So to speak. Yeah,
that's a very good way to put it. I absolutely agree. It's not overly scary. It's definitely one of those. Oh, it's an interesting story. Got some pretty creepy elements and whatnot, but it's not a lot of very jump scary like Resident Evil 7 type of scary. It's a different tone to it. Tolerable, I would say.
All I gotta say is the protagonist has to be one of the most trusting women I've ever met in history. She's just like,
no kidding.
Haunted hotel. Leisurely jogs in. Spooky stuff. Keeps leisurely jogging.
I like that. I've seen some people complaining about that, and like I get it. Like it is a very stereotypical. Wow, white people gonna barge in this haunted hotel. Huh? It's like that. But I do think without shoving it in your face, the game establishes that she's been doing this a while. She's dealt with spirits for a while. She's dealt with she's seen this creepy stuff for a long time at this point. So I think that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just for me, it's like you go into an abandoned hotel and you're like, staircase collapsed. I'm gonna take the elevator. What? No. If the stairs are gone, I'm not trusting the elevator. And I didn't really actually have a problem with the game until a certain chase scene where, oh my God, I forgot how much I hate the Crash Bandicoot camera angles. And 2 auto-fail stealth segments are garbage. They're so bad. And I hate them. I hate them so much. But other than that, pretty interesting game. I've only played a bit of it. I played some last weekend and this past weekend. Yeah, it was like Friday night or whatever. I'm having a hard time keeping my days straight. All the days are blended together right now.
I'm sure, man.
Yep.
That's what I said. I'd like to know if the style choice was like intentional, because we have games like Cyber Shadow, Shovel Knight, games like that. Like we know what they were going for. You look at The Messenger, we know what they were going for, right? So were they going for like all those retro hallmarks of like PS1, PS2, early Xbox days, of those types of games that were tank control, running away, towards the camera, things like that? Because if that's intentional, that's one thing. But if it was sort of that's sort of what we had to do due to budget constraint, whatever the case may be, not that it really matters, but I just said I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, it definitely feels like almost a stylistic choice almost, because it feels like there's certain, once again, I don't want to get into spoiler territory. It's not even spoilers. It's mechanical things that you have to experience to really enjoy. But when you get the knife, so to speak, there's certain very Silent Hill-y vibes that I get, and you can definitely tell where they're tapping their horror from. And I really like that because it gave me like original Silent Hill horror vibes, not like Silent Hill Downpour vibes, which is the game everyone seems to tap more recently. But it's very interesting vibes. Alongside the medium, I've been playing a bunch of smaller games. Finally had someone dumb enough to sit in a corner in Rainbow Six Siege and let me breach charge them into oblivion. So I 100% completed that game. That felt great. And I started Carrion last night because I wanted something small and, manageable to play. And, oh my God, I never thought being a tentacle monster could be so much fun.
Right.
It's a really great game. It's a lot of fun. I like just the sheer, you're evil, fuck everything up. I love it.
Yeah, that game knows exactly what it is. It's like you are here for one purpose. We have a particular visual style. Go nuts.
Yeah. And the way it controls is like so unique and cool. And that was a nice breath of fresh air, I have to say, when I played that game.
Yeah. My one complaint with it is goddamn patch a map in, because this backtracking for stuff is driving me crazy.
That was yep.
Yeah. I'm like, you're a Metroidvania, so to speak, but those have like map tracking type stuff in them, So
I'm like, hey, I remember. Oh, I got an ability that I can break wood blocks now. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of wood blocks at the starting area. How do I get there again? All of the crawl through this hole? Nope, not this hole. Oh, this hole? Nope, not this hole. Wow, that sounds really inappropriate. I'm snipping that for later. But other than that, yeah, that's just steady as she goes. Fingers crossed. I actually have a weekend this weekend to play something. But speaking of people that don't get weekends, CD Projekt Red is in the news again. That's a good segue. So CD Projekt Red put out a tweet at 3:00 in the morning EST, somewhere in that ballpark. It was early. So it is an important update. Basically, long story short, their database was compromised, and things in regards to their games, infrastructure and IT infrastructure, backups and encrypted data is being held for ransom, for a lack of a better word, which I don't think this has ever happened in the video game space since I've been around anyway. Sam?
No, it's definitely happened. There's nothing leaping to mind, but hacks with dude, we literally just had the Capcom leak. Remember?
Yeah, but leaks are common and hacking leaks are common, but I've never seen it phrased as a ransom, so to speak.
No, it definitely happens. It definitely happens. Dude, I would argue the Capcom leak was a ransom because they outright said, hey, we're going to leak this stuff if you don't pay us X. And then Capcom was like, well, no, we're not going to do that. The stuff got released. So it definitely happens. I will say, really quickly, if you don't mind me interjecting, I've seen a lot of people going full conspiracy brain on this. And, I know, that note is weird. That note is a 2009 4chan edgelord wrote it. Okay, I get that. It's weird. But this is very real. This has been verified to be very real. And another thing is, unlike in America with the FTC, the GDPR, which is the agency that would investigate this kind of stuff over in Europe, they take this very seriously, and they will grill you 7 ways to Sunday if you are caught falsifying. They didn't make this up. This is absolutely real, and employees and former employees were affected by it. So sorry, that's kind of been irking me all day, but I wanted to put it out there.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and also a special fuck you to the people that were celebrating this as well. There's a special layer of hell for you if you think celebrating compromised data is a good thing. Talk to any games journalists about what compromised data can mean for your life and your safety. It sucks. CD Projekt Red said that they don't think any of their majority of their employee database they think it's safe, but they're not 100% sure. If you're a former employee, they said to contact them directly in order to sort things out. But this is wild. The whole Cyberpunk ride is if you had told me that this is what would happen, pre-launch, I'd be like, you're crazy. But here we are. Jared, Eric, any thoughts on Hackermans?
Well, my only thought is Cyberpunk 2077 side quest became reality.
Yeah.
They pissed off a Netrunner, and Netrunner hacked them, and they're like,
yeah.
I'm just throwing
You're not wrong.
Yeah. And then my only other thought was shit got real because it wasn't on a yellow background. No time for that. Here it is.
Jeez. Yeah, you're not wrong about that one. Nope.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Wow, that's funny.
God,
although to be
that yellow
consistent,
background, it's seared into my eyes from 2020.
Right. But at the same time, Sam, not to make too light of it, but it's why would you change that up? Because anytime you deliver bad news, it's been on the yellow background. Just
maybe moving forward, they want that to be the good news. Maybe they want that to be the good news on the yellow background, change it up.
Right.
Well, with everything going on with them, I really do wish them the best. Like, you know, I've openly had my criticisms. I've written my fair share of articles criticizing, you know, Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt Red. But at the end of the day, nobody deserves this. And anyone that tries to play off like the hackers have any form of meaningful intentions are just idiots. This is for money, and that's all this is. They're going to leak a bunch of information, and away they go, and it'll damage CD Projekt Red, it'll damage its employees, and it'll hurt a lot more people than it would have ever helped. So it's a goddamn shame that people can't be decent. But what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Anyone else have any closing thoughts on that?
No. Those guys just can't seem to catch a break.
Yeah, pretty much.
The only way is up at this point, right? Like, there's no denying that it basically can't get any worse. Well, actually, depending on what they leak, it could get worse. But hopefully it doesn't get worse. But speaking of things that get worse, Gearbox was in the news, but actually not for the usual reason it's in the news.
Randy's ultimate magic trick.
Randy's ultimate magic trick is he will never have to sweat pressing copies of Godfall together with his own hands again. So Embracer Group, which is the parent company of THQ Nordic, correct, Sam? Is that the correct
it's a holding company based out of Sweden, and they've got, like, with this latest one, 58 studios across 7 brands. Something it's absurd. They're the Swedish Tencent. Is what it is. It's ridiculous.
So Embracer Group bought Gearbox for $363 million in cash and shares in Embracer, $188 million in cash, $175 million in stock, with a commitment for an additional $1 billion over 6 years if financial and operational targets are met. Now, Sam, I have a question for you because I wasn't able to read too much into this. Was Gearbox privately owned, or were they publicly traded previously?
I swear to God, they were privately owned. They were like one of the last privately owned. Obviously, Bethesda was the biggest privately owned gaming company out there. Then they got bought, but Gearbox was one of the last big ones remaining. They had their own publishing division. Like, if you remember, they published We Happy Few. They just published Godfall. Like, they had their own small publishing team and all that they partnered on games. So yeah, they were definitely privately owned. And this is just okay. I can't take original credit for this because I was listening to a couple podcasts and they kind of blurred together, so I don't remember which one it was on. I think it was Sacred Symbols, where, like, do you ever think that Insomniac is looking back, like Ted Price is looking back at how they got bought for $229 million, and they're thinking, maybe we should have raised the price a little bit? Because, I mean, Gearbox over $1 billion. I'm sorry, but Gearbox over $1 billion. Like, it's just.
Well, I was saying that.
And another thing I've seen. Let me cut you off here. Is I've seen people going like, oh, well, the Borderlands IP is huge, and it's like, yes, that's true, but Take-Two holds the publishing rights. Take-Two confirmed in their financials they're still going to be publishing those games. Embracer is not publishing those games, so they didn't really take it anywhere with them. So, like, I don't know. It's one of those things you think about where it's like, dang, okay,
yeah,
wow.
I'd probably scratching my head going, maybe I should have, maybe I should have an extra $500 million. Just
look, to be fair, $229 million is still more than I'm going to earn in my life. Like, to be clear, like, that is money I would retire on in a heartbeat.
But
so,
like, it's Insomniac though. Like,
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Like, damn.
Yeah, because I wondered, like, the thing that crossed my mind with that Gearbox versus like Insomniac things. I did think about that. I said, I wonder if in some way was there like incentive laced in that contract, like they got that fee, and then were there like incentives that came with it? I'm like, there had to be a hell of a lot of incentives. But
I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with Sam, and like, are you like, huh? Should have asked.
I mean, I know they don't have any IP at all. Like, I know they had. I don't even think they own Stormlands, like that VR thing they did for Oculus. Like, I know IP is a big deal, but it's Insomniac. It's like Jared said, like these guys are talented. These peeps don't miss. I don't know. It's not. I don't mean it to be that kind of a big thing. It's just one of those things where it's like looking back on this, we're already starting to think of $229 million for Insomniac as small fries. Are we going to get to the point where we think $7.5 billion for Bethesda with small fries? Like, I'm just starting to wonder about this here. That's all.
Well, you see, Embracer Group's going to re-release Aliens Colonial Marines, and they're going to make every cent back because they're going to tweak that one piece of source code to fix the AI, and it'll be a whole different game. It'll sell millions of copies. That's the only game plan I see them having, because like even then, I would not buy Gearbox even on Borderlands alone, because even a lot of people love Borderlands 3, but the general consensus was we don't want another game like this after this. We need something different. You're really like, and other than that, like what does Gearbox do? Really? Like they publish some average games. Borderlands is cool, I guess. But like,
I mean, yeah, I agree with you, but at the same time, they're the ones that just got bought for $1.2 billion and not us. So who am I to criticize?
All right, Embracer Group, $36.92 and a Big Mac. Let's go.
Someone acquire, please. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. This is I mean, I know we've said this before. I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts on it, but like it's the hot topic right now. Everyone is buying. Everyone is selling. Like this is two things. This is a darn good time to sell because you're going to get a lot of money for your team. I mean, Codemasters, $1.2 billion. EA just bought some mobile game company, Glue, and they're a big one, but for like $2.4 billion. And Bethesda, we've said that 1,000 times. Like, this is a good time to sell. And I think another thing is this is a good time to not get shut down. This is a very good time to have security because everyone's gobbling up. Sorry, Eric, I didn't mean to talk over you, but just
no. I didn't mean to cut. I didn't mean to cut into what you're saying. No, I was agreeing with you in the fact that now is that time, because what you kind of have going on right now is there's a frenzy. It's almost like housing market. When you have like a hot property right now, everybody's buying up, so it's definitely raising the prices on things. So I kind of agree with what Glorious War is saying. Is like in some cases there may be some overvaluing going on. And if we look back at Insomniac when they were purchased, it's definitely, I think, if you really think about it seriously, it's probably the evaluation based on the fact that they didn't really have IP to bring to the table, for that bargaining. If they had like a whole stack of IP in their portfolio that was all proven, then maybe that price goes up. So I don't know. But that's why I said it too. I do wonder if maybe there is incentive in there for XYZ performance on whatever they release type of thing. I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that. But right now, I definitely think you're going to see a lot more of this. And if you have a studio that, especially if you do have IP, you do have some clout. If you feel like now's the time to cash in, I think everyone's getting into the frenzy, because it's sort of like everyone's in something of like a panic, like everybody's being bought. So we need to make that move now. It's sort of like, like I said, if you're trying to buy a house, but right now the market is hot. It's a seller's market. It's like most people are overpaying for the properties that they're buying.
Yeah.
Because, the rising tide raises all ships. So even if you're, not quote unquote, you consider like one of the best, developers, if you're storied and you're long term, you might get that deal.
Yeah.
And if somebody's overpaying for somebody else, then that's just going to make somebody else be like, hey, well, so-and-so went for this and this is what we've done. So what are you going to say,
Yeah. Comparing it to the housing market, it's actually a brilliant comparison, honestly. And I'm going to just throw this out into the ether right now. Bloober Team will be acquired by either Embracer or Microsoft by the end of the year, period, end of story. Because Embracer's either going to buy them because they're a Europe team and Embracer owns everything in Europe, or Microsoft's going to buy them because they've done 2 back-to-back Xbox first launches and have found success on both of those launches. So,
you know what? You don't get extra points in our game, but I'll agree with you. Like, I'll give you a round of applause because that's reasonable. That makes sense.
It's amazing to me how well that THQ Nordic and Embracer Group has turned money laundering into such a video game focused organizational thing. It's not really. Please don't sue me. I'm kidding.
Well, if Randy's not going to sue us for the Coke jokes, then I think you'd be all right.
I have to shout out Dan's comment in the chat though. Like, you know, the price of purchasing a Gearbox includes Randy Pitchford's magic tricks and a lifetime VIP pass to medieval times. Embracer Group has permanently chained the USB drive to Randy's wrist. They're like, you don't go anywhere without this now. But speaking of things that need to be chained up, locked away, and put away forever, E3 2021, baby.
Your segues are on point tonight. Sure.
So after the fiasco that was last year's E3, so for those that don't remember, let's see, we had data leaks where everyone's home addresses, emails, and everything else were leaked, which led to a lot of journalists getting actually physical threats and their houses egged or whatever. I remember seeing that and a bunch of other shit. The ESA never apologized for that, by the way. That's a key point. They never apologized for any of that. They're just like, whoops. And then they said they were going to transition E3 2020 into an all-digital event that would be filled with pulse-pounding action, trailers, reveals, and everything else. And then they canceled it. And we're like, we'll talk about E3 2021 very soon. Fast forward 6 months, 7 months, almost 8 months. So apparently the ESA is going to be transforming E3 yet again into a digital gaming showcase. This report was originally broken by the Video Games Chronicle. As per the ESA, we can confirm that we are transforming the E3 experience for 2021, and we will soon share exact details on how we're bringing the global video game community together. According to Video Games Chronicle, the ESA has outlined its plans for E3 2021, intentions to hold multiple 2-hour keynote sessions from game partners, an award show. Oh, the balls on these boys. A preview night on June 14th, plus some small streams from various game publishers, influencers, and media partners. I'm going to let you all have fun with this because I've just...
Jared, you want to say something? Because I feel like if I get going on this one, I'm not going to stop. So I'm trying to avoid saying anything.
I'm sure. I'm actually just very more curious about what you guys have to say because I don't really have much thoughts. I'm more of a, oh, okay, yeah. Let's see what actually happens. Sure, okay. You know what? I'll see it when I see it, E3. We'll talk then, okay?
Yeah. I'm with you. Eric,
I'll just say this. ESA is like that guy that breaks up with a girl, right? Or the breakup happens badly, or whatever the case may be, and then like a couple weeks later he calls her and he goes, look, I know you had some time to think about the horrible mistake that you made, but let's try to work this out. And it's like, dude,
but you're the one that broke up with
right? Like,
me.
no one's checking for you guys like this right now. Like, if this is not the way, man. Like, you know.
Oh, man.
I mean, look, I'm the last person to want the summer game mess. Like, shout out to Jeff Grubb for putting all that together and making sure everyone was somewhat sane. But I don't want last year. If last year goes down like that again, I'm just sitting back and just waiting for you guys to report everything. Just reading.
Fair enough.
So yeah. But
okay, so we'll go.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go
no,
ahead.
I'm just saying I don't know who's gonna pay them like six-figure sums to be a part of their like digital like whatever.
Who in the right mind to pay that much money? I'd be like, bro, Microsoft Theater is right there. See ya.
It's like, you just want to say to them like you guys realize you're still considered like the bad guys, right? Like, yes, people miss E3, not because of you guys. They just miss having a concentrated place where things happen, and but it's not you. If we could have E3 without you, we'd be good.
Yeah, ESA is acting like Micah in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Good reference, man. Good reference. Yeah, no, I'll try and be very restrained on this and not say things I've said before, but no, who in their right mind is paying 6 figures? Are you kidding? Anyone who can afford to do that, any publisher who can afford to reasonably do that is big enough to just hold their own event, and they don't need you. Now, journalists, myself included in that, definitely don't want this to be a multi-month sprawling thing. Like when I saw that, shout out to him, he does great work, Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest was coming back, I was like, oh no. Oh dear God. What are we doing here? However, to his credit, Keighley then immediately, like an hour later, he said on Twitter in response to someone, it's going to be way more compact this year. Everything is going to take place in a month.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right. I can work with that. A month is, I'd prefer 2 weeks of insanity, but a month is good. I can work with a month. I hear you, Jeff. Let's see where this goes. So I definitely think it's going to be more compact and he'll learn the lessons. And, just the fact that the pandemic broke out last year and everyone had to change their plans, maybe this time around, if everyone is talking to Jeff Keighley about, hey, we know we still can't do in-person events. Let's figure this out. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that goes a lot better. I don't know what the ESA is smoking. Like, are you... I don't know. Like, I don't know how else to put it. I don't know what else to say. Like, what do they think they're providing? What do they think they're giving? E3 was never about them. It was always about the name. It was always about having everything in one location physically.
Right.
That's not the case. What you got? I don't think you have anything. So yeah, I'm definitely waiting with bated breath to see how this goes, for sure.
It's too easy, man. It's just, it's too easy. Kicking the ESA while it's down. Like, I love E3. I loved E3. As a fan, E3 is one of the most exciting times that it can be. And one of the benefits of being a games writer during E3 is you knew you had about 2 weeks of hell, and then afterwards there'd be no news for a week, and you could pass out and die for a week, and it was fine.
Yep.
Summer Games mess. I don't want to do it again. It's like every day you wake up and it's like, oh, look, some small studio in Poland's doing a live stream for a bunch of games that people are actually interested in. God damn it. Crawls to computer. I don't want to do that again. And I think it's beneficial if they don't drag it out that long, because if I'm being honest, after the first burst of information, everything just kind of blended together and I forgot a lot of the stuff.
Yep, for sure.
I definitely think you need to compact it. Like if you're, for example, the Guerrilla Collective stretched theirs across like 3 weeks, compact that into a weekend. I know it's a lot more work to compact it into a weekend, but I feel like you grab people's attention more when you do it that way. The more compact it is, the more focused people will be. Because if if you get them interested, oh, this is going to be here, so I'm going to watch this, and then they watch the whole showcase, you're going to see more, absorb more, etc., etc. The ESA's got a lot to prove, and I don't see how they're going to entice Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, or anything. Be like, hey, pay us money to stream your digital event.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't see this happening, and I just don't see companies spending that kind of money, even if they do have that kind of money. You know who has that kind of money? Take-Two Interactive does, because goddamn GTA 5 sold 140 million copies because your grandma owns 3 copies of GTA 5, damn it. So I'm going to toss this over to Sam, because we've got Take-Two Interactive as well as Ubisoft financial information. Now, what are the interesting takeaways from Take-Two, Sam?
GTA. That stupid thing won't die.
Just die.
140 million sold. Over 100. For context, not only is that 10 million in the past 2 quarters, not year, 2 quarters, so 6 months. But in addition to that, CEO Strauss Zelnick confirmed that it has sold more in 2020 than it did any other year, except its launch year of 2013. This thing isn't slowing down; it's picking up steam.
How?
It's gaining speed.
How How do you do that? Like, you're not bundling it with anything. You're not putting in a special damn promotion. It's just like,
I mean, okay, so to be fair, it has been on PS Now and Game Pass. It was on both of those services for a few months each, but nonetheless, like, I get your point. It's just, I mean, it's one of those games where it's like Minecraft. Everyone owns it. If you buy a console, you own it. And I know someone out there is going to say, like, well, I don't. Well, congratulations, but you're the exception. You're not the rule. And so just imagine what this thing is going to hit when the next gen or current gen, I guess, version hits in the second half of this year, because that is still on track to happen. So imagine what it's going to do then. That's the only real highlight. That's the only real highlight. Oh, Red Dead Redemption 2 has sold over 36 million copies, which is respectable. Good game. I'm glad it has. That's fantastic. But yeah.
Do they need GTA 6 at this point? Do they really need another GTA? They could probably hold out another 5 years and keep selling.
Need? No. Dude, need. I mean, it depends on how you define need, but like, no, they do not need it. They are making so much money. It's stupid.
It's stupid.
Yeah, you won't get it as long as the GTA 5 keeps selling.
I bet you they could rebundle the online portion on its own and just be like, yeah,
hold on. Let's just take a moment to realize. Goddamn, GTA 5 came out on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and we're talking about the goddamn Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 release of this goddamn game. They used to release there used to be a Grand Theft Auto game like every 2 years, and now we've got to the same terrible Grand Theft Auto game for almost the past decade.
Not even
insane.
Yeah, not even joking, man. Like, let's say GTA 5, and if there is a GTA 6, those could be the only GTA games in a 20-year span.
My biggest thing is, do they even like the hype levels for GTA 6? Because literally, I could create a Google Doc screenshot with the title GTA 6 and go, this is an official Rockstar document, and about 50 Rockstar official fan sites will run with that. There is so much hype and anticipation for the next one. A, I don't think they could ever live up to it. And B, as Eric said, it's printing money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't think, printing money stops companies from producing new content, look at Valve. But anyways, Sam, some interesting insights there, of course.
Yeah, no, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. The other thing, the other big financials we had was Ubisoft's financials. They confirmed, now take your pick, and if you saw the news, it doesn't count. So did they have a terrible quarter, a good quarter, or their best quarter ever? Which one do you think it was?
I can't answer. Sorry.
Yeah, shut up.
Probably best quarter ever.
That's what Jared thinks. Eric, what you got? Eric's having some mic troubles. No worries. Just solve that, Eric. It's okay. Yes, or whatever you got to sort out there.
I'm sorry, I was saying goodnight to the little one.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all.
Okay, I'm sorry. Repeat that question.
I was saying, do you think Ubisoft had a terrible quarter, a good quarter, or their best quarter ever?
I'm almost wanting to go with A.
Okay, all right. You want to go with A? You want to go with terrible quarter?
Yeah, because even though I know, like Valhalla did really well, I'm just some of the other stuff I'm
sure. That's totally fair. That's totally fair. I would not have gotten the right answer, even if I wouldn't have picked that one. It's their best quarter ever. Ubisoft just had their best 3-month stretch of all time. Is if you're wondering what the summation of all that was, primarily driven by Valhalla, because Valhalla had the biggest launch of any Assassin's Creed game ever. So if you're tired of big Assassin's Creed games, I wouldn't hold your breath because the world isn't. That's just, I don't want to dredge up that debate, but it is what it is. Like, these games are selling, and they are selling hard. They did not give numbers, but they said that Immortals Phoenix Rising was respectable, particularly on Nintendo Switch. Is some of the wording. Rainbow Six Siege crossed 70 million players, so that game continues its turnaround streak. It's been doing real hot. Evidenced by the fact that Nick still plays it, and I still play it as well, when I can catch a match with him. So, Ubisoft doing well. Everyone seems to be doing well. Is there anything else y'all are particularly interested in about Ubisoft apart from the fact that they just weirdly pulled their biggest quarter ever out of a hat?
Where the hell is Splinter Cell, damn it?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Not in their best financial quarter.
Yes. I mean, it hurts. It hurts to say it, but Nick is absolutely right. That's your answer. There you go.
The kind of painful thing we're living in, and to Jared's point, I would love a new Splinter Cell game. But Ubisoft has kind of proven that they're doing other games that are doing way better than Splinter Cell probably did. And I bet there's a bunch of people at Ubisoft right now that think, oh yeah, there's all this fan demand for the game, but we're going to make it and it's not going to sell, which is lies because goddamn, everyone bought Ghost Recon Wildlands just to hear Sam Fisher, for God's sakes. It's why I bought Ghost Recon Wildlands. Great game too. Breakpoint. But no, it makes sense. Watch Dogs Legion was great besides the save file issue. Immortal Phoenix Rising, Jared said some incredible things about it with his time with it. Sam's enjoying his time with it. I
only played a little bit of it, and I could tell I'm going to enjoy it. Just got to get back to it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on sale on the Xbox store like...
I grabbed it in that 30 deal over the holiday.
I wish I had, because now I'm looking at it $47 like... maybe. But no, Ubisoft's doing great stuff. Take-Two's Take-Twoing.
Yeah, I was gonna say the thing with Splinter Cell 2 is it's in my mind, and I think we might have talked about this before, is they're not that they probably wouldn't want to do it, they just can't figure out how to Ubisoft formula it. I don't think they want it to just be like the traditional Splinter Cell, like it's like the single player or co-op type affair, and it's off in the wild. They have a very specific formula that's successful for them, and it's like trying to figure out how to do that with Splinter Cell. So I was just thinking, I was actually talking to Chicken Spaghetti about this on the timeline. I was like, if you're not going to do a new game, you probably be able to print some money just by going back to the HD collection type thing, reworking that, maybe you go back into Unreal and rework those games and just put that out in a collection. And I think that would actually maybe you do some new maps and new things like that, and maybe that might satiate the fan base in some way. It's not a new game, but at least it's like a return to Splinter Cell, and it's beautiful. It's 4K 60. It's all the things people seem to cartwheel over these days. Maybe that's way around it.
That's a good idea. We know that Ubisoft isn't afraid to remake their games, remaster their games, and give them the time they need. I would take it. It's not a new game, but I would certainly take it. I would certainly be okay with like a Splinter Cell, not HD. You can't call them HD collections anymore, but
no, you can't do that. But
the Sam Fisher collection, I don't know, something like that. They're smarter people than me. You can do something like that. I would take it.
Because I think the HD collection on like 360 and PS3 actually did pretty well for them. I think it did.
Oh yeah, no, those games sold respectably.
Yeah,
like, they didn't sell awful. It's just, it's not, wow, this one game made us have our best quarter in company history level.
Right.
And that is what they're looking at. But I mean, you did have that wave of firings and all that. You had like all the abusers who were outed from Ubisoft, and one of those guys was like the head of editorial, right? Who was the one who denied us our King Arthur game from Mike Laidlaw and his team, and then the one who was insisting on it's Ghost Recon, Assassin's Creed, Tom Clancy, like those are our big three. That's what we're doing. It's this. Like, so I'm not saying we're going to get everything that we want overnight, but I do think things are going to improve slightly from here. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll just have to wait and see. Because they're dragging through the sands. They're bringing back some old IPs, so people can be excited about that. Except, we're just not going to see it anytime soon because the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remaster, we're going to call it?
Remake, supposedly.
Okay. The remake has been delayed. Was there a timeline on this? When I saw it, they said it was just open-ended delay.
No timeline. They just said it's delayed. No new time.
Well,
which, by the way, is a running gag with Ubisoft's games. Far Cry 6, delayed, no time frame. Skull and Bones, delayed, no time frame. Rainbow Six Quarantine, delayed, no time frame. I don't know. Just putting it out there.
Well, I'm just gonna have a giggle for myself because I'm thinking back to the first E3 we all covered collectively, writing, and us all going, "Wow, Skull and Bones might actually eat Sea of Thieves for breakfast." And I'm sitting there going, Skull and Bones has a hard road ahead if it wants to compete with Sea of Thieves because Ubisoft let it have 3 years to figure the game out. But yeah, so Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake delayed. Is anyone really sad about this? I'm sorry, I wasn't really impressed with what we saw so far. Is anyone like Jared? Are you a big Prince of Persia fan or no?
Huge,
Yeah?
huge Prince of Persia fan. I love the games. Not excited. I hold zero interest in this.
I think
Yeah.
that just says it all right there. I think that there's nothing I can say that that doesn't say.
And I've literally played almost every single Prince of Persia game from start to finish multiple times. And yeah, no, I'm good. I'll pass.
I mean, when they said that they were doing it, I was hyped. And then when they showed us what they did, I'm like, if you guys don't give a damn, I don't give a damn.
Pretty
That's how I
much.
felt. When they showed that, I was like, that's disrespectful. To show people that, I'm like, that's it? I'm good. So, yeah, so when I heard that, I didn't even comment on it. I was like, you know what? Fine, do what you got to do. Just come back, show it again. Maybe it'll be better. I don't really have the faith that it's going to be the case. I think they just killed any momentum and hype that people had for that when they showed it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like that's a tremendous amount of nostalgia around that game, and you know, people have been asking for it, and that's what you came with. Like you gave it to like the C Squad, and it looked like almost like a mobile game, like worse than a mobile game.
I mean, that's the problem, right, Eric? Is we've talked about this before. We live in an age where Bluepoint remakes things. It looks like a brand new game. We live in an age where, you know, BioWare, even with a small team, is giving the original Mass Effect the love and care it deserves with a remaster to smooth out the rough edges and give the new skyboxes and the better looking all. Like, there's a high bar on remasters or remakes, either one, whichever word you want to commit to and debate over it all you want. Like, whichever one you pick, you're going to have to pick one, and there is a high bar either way.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, it didn't hit it. Like, keep it, and I do appreciate them not putting a date on it. You know, like keep it all right. Like, however long it takes, come back. When you come back with it, we'll see where it's at. But I mean, as it is, I'm with Jared. I have zero interest if it's like that. Just
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it's makes me sad because Prince of Persia was a fantastic IP that definitely trailed off in the later games. It definitely got progressively worse until, you know, it became redundant with the Assassin's Creed games. And I've been saying for a handful of years that, you know, Assassin's Creed is way different than it used to be. So, you know, Prince of Persia could come back, and people generally laughed at me. And then when this remake was announced, I was like, ha, 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 see, I was right. And then I looked how good the remake looked, and I was like, ha, 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 maybe I'm not right. But hopefully Ubisoft gives this the time it needs because it definitely looked like it needed time. And it's a remake. I really don't understand why game companies feel like they need to rush remakes. It's a classic game. Do it right and take your time. Don't rush it out the door. You only have one chance at this. And I don't think Ubisoft's done a ton of remakes. So if they want to keep that remake window open, make sure this one's a good one. They've done remasters before because I know Assassin's Creed Rogue is technically a remaster on Xbox One and PS4. But we will drift right along into Forza Horizon 4 is coming to Steam. This is more just a PSA thing. It's coming to Steam. It's been available via the Xbox app. Is it the Xbox app technically? I played through Xbox Game Pass app technically, but it's available through the Xbox app. You'll be able to buy it through Steam, which means you get all your fun Steam functionality with it. I believe the hot is the Hot Wheels DLC launching and coinciding with this, or is that coming later?
Yep, it's coinciding with it.
Coinciding. So yeah, if you play on PC like Jared does, you'll be able to enjoy Forza Horizon 4 natively through Steam, which is cool for those that want to. I guess it's not really much more to say than that.
No, I mean it's a great game. I don't play racing games, and I play Forza Horizon 4. It sold really well, did really well launching in Game Pass, so this will drum up even more sales. Here's, I guess, one question. With this game coming to Steam and then, getting this final DLC pack, or I presume final DLC pack, do we see Forza Horizon 5 later this year?
I could see it. At least you had an announcement for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Later this year?
Yeah, later this year. That is what I said.
Yeah, because Forza Horizon 4 came out
2018.
2018.
Going on 3 years.
And they've been doing it biannually prior to that, correct?
Yep. They had been doing it biannually, but then the motorsport team took it off, because they needed to do some engine work and overhaul the engine for motorsport and all that. And then that game was revealed officially last year during the game showcase in July. So did Horizon just get delayed a year because of the pandemic, or is it actually even further out?
I feel like we get Motorsport spring of next year, and then I feel like Horizon's not till the year after. I feel like Horizon's is far away.
You think we go 5 years between Forza Horizon 4 and Forza Horizon 5?
To make it a truly next generation Xbox experience? Yes, sir.
5 years.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I did say I never have I said on this podcast that I was smart.
none of us would dare make that claim. Maybe Jared. Jared might be able to pull it off, but I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna say that. Okay, I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm just looking it through because I know Motorsport was already revealed, but I feel Motorsport's probably far away. If Motorsport is actually next year, would it not make sense to put a Horizon game out this fall? I don't know. This is just me thinking things through here.
I have to admit, I am having a way harder time predicting stuff this year with pandemic because it's always that one variable. It's like, how is this team coping with this aspect that we're all, dealing with right now? How efficient are they from home, and et cetera, et cetera. But
sure. There's definitely more of an asterisk mark around things. I get that. Right. I'm speaking in broader terms.
I don't speak in broad terms. I only deal in definitive.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
I only deal in absolutes and vodka, specifically absolute vodka.
All right, good. All right, that was good.
Now, speaking of things that won't be good, Overwatch 2 got a delay.
Dude.
Damn.
You can't be stopped tonight with these transitions, huh?
I looked up, I just Googled segways and looked at the motorized vehicles for an hour, and now all of a sudden it works. So Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 have been delayed into 2022. I will preface this before I toss this around the panel. It should not come as a shock that Diablo 4 is coming later than 2021. Obscenely optimistic that was going to come out this year. Pandemic, everything else. And as Sam mentioned on Multiverse on Monday, Blizzard even said when they announced it, I believe, I'm probably butchering Sam's words here, but they said it was far out even by their standards.
Yeah, no, that's basically what they said. They said it ain't even Blizzard soon.
So it's a while out. Now, Overwatch 2 is the interesting one, but I kind of just want to toss Diablo 4 around the panel because, I know Jared's a big Diablo fan. I know Sam's a big Diablo fan. I don't know about Eric. I like demon stuff, so I'm automatically a Diablo fan. But Jared, excited for Diablo 4?
Absolutely, always. I'm okay with however long they need to take to get this game right. Take the time, just make sure you give the proper love and care that it deserves, and that you're properly creating a game that the fans also deserve to have as well. What they have shown in terms of concept images and updates for Diablo 4 and the directions that they're going in with like the skill trees and stuff like that, I'm completely okay with not having a bunch of information or having it come out anytime soon. I'm very hopeful for the product, but again, it's still something I need to, of course, get my hands on to really determine if I'm going to enjoy it or not. But I have faith in the team. I think they really know and understand and have taken into consideration how important this specific Diablo title is this time around. And I think they're going to do really well. At least I really hope so. I think they'll have definitely learned a lot from Diablo 3 on what to do, what not to do. They definitely learned not to do those same visuals again. So, yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm hopeful.
Absolutely. Sam, what about you?
Yeah, no, I don't know who thought that Diablo 4 was coming out this year. Sorry, I've seen multiple people saying they thought it was. I'm like, I don't know what you're smoking.
Was it ever said?
No, it wasn't. And they said it wasn't coming soon when they revealed it in late 2019. And that was before the pandemic. That was before the pandemic happened and threw everything off.
I was going to say, I never remember them giving a window of a year, like, yeah, sometime 2021 sort of thing.
I don't know. It's weird. That one's bugging me. See y'all in late 2022, early 2023, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we have BlizzCon Line coming next week. So about a week and a half from now, I do think we'll get an update on the game. Like, I think we'll get some gameplay. We'll get some more details on Diablo 4, but it's still a ways out. Overwatch 2, on the other hand, that's the one that I'm a little taken aback, even with the pandemic. I'm a little like, okay, why? Why is this not ready yet? Because it uses the same multiplayer. There was that whole confusing thing about it being it's essentially a single-player expansion. It's the single player that everyone wanted, but it also uses the original multiplayer, but it updates the models and all that. I don't know. I don't know if any of you are big Overwatch fans. I know Nick is. I know Nick and I have played a lot of Overwatch, but I don't know about you two. It
used to.
I don't know.
I'm not an Overwatch fan.
Yeah, okay.
I actually snapped my Overwatch disc in half when everyone was doing the Rise Up Against Blizzard thing.
You did not.
I did. I don't own Overwatch anymore. I legitimately uninstalled the game and broke the disc during that whole thing. And I haven't played a Blizzard game since.
Okay. All right. Fair. Fair enough. A little wild. But I don't know. That one, I know the pandemic throws things off, and I appreciate Activision being upfront. I do. I appreciate them just saying, like, hey, don't expect it. It ain't coming this year. See you next year. Like, it is surprising to me that it would take them this long. But I mean, at the same time, even if it's Overwatch, this is still Blizzard. Blizzard has never been known for being the most punctual of development companies, to say the absolute least. And it's not like we're not going to get a game from them, because we have that report from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg that, Vicarious Visions, who were moved under the Blizzard umbrella, are going to be finishing up that Diablo 2 remake. So it'll be fun. I don't know. That's all I've got.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for Overwatch 2 just being Overwatch, but with a single player campaign, they taken their time. I actually thought this game would have been in our hands already, if I'm being honest. I kind of thought this was going to be like a launch lineup, or launch window game. And it's kind of wild that it's pushed back that far. And I guess it is what it is. I can't find myself enough to care about Overwatch right now. And I wonder if they'll be able to grab traction with it. Because Valorant's kind of eating Overwatch for breakfast, unfortunately, for them.
That's kind of one of my thinking, not so much the Valorant aspect, but like maybe they realized that more so recently, especially more so with like Mike Ybarra getting on the team and whatnot, that they probably looked at the game and went, maybe we need to take a little bit more time and rethink our plan a bit, instead of kind of just adding a portion to the game, repackaging it and reselling it for full price, because they're not going to sell it at a discounted half price game. It's Overwatch 2. It's going to be another full price game. But maybe they thought they need to add more to it and take a little bit more into consideration and try to be a little bit more innovative instead of just trying to, add single player, like I said, add single player, repackage and resell it, sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's a great point. I think maybe they had to reevaluate what their value proposition is going to be. With when you've got things like Halo Infinite's multiplayer is going to be free. Rainbow Six Siege is still chugging along quite successfully without any price requirements to jump back in. It's a hard sell to just be like, hey, it's the same game, but it's upgraded a bit, and here's a single player campaign, which I understand. Like, there was a demand for Overwatch to have a single player campaign because they made brilliant characters. But I would like to reference Titanfall 2 for an example. Titanfall was a fantastic game that the entire time that I was playing it, all I heard was, this game would be so much better if it had a single player campaign. And then Respawn listened, put together probably one of the top 5 best FPS campaigns of all time, including a very solid multiplayer, and nobody bought it.
Mm-hmm.
So fans are fickle things. Now, speaking of things that aren't fickle, Sam's love for Total War. Sam, there's some Total War Warhammer stuff, right?
Yeah. This is the whole shut up, everyone. I'll only be talking about this for the rest of the year. This is my time. This is my hour. All right, I'll keep the nerdiness down for a bit because I don't know how much everyone else is interested in it. But basically, the Total War series is grand strategy games. They're lots of fun. From Creative Assembly, the same people who made Alien Isolation and all that, and Halo Wars 2. They made Halo Wars 2 as well, working with 343, of course. But their latest sub-franchise has been the Warhammer series, the old Warhammer tabletop games from Games Workshop. They license out all their stuff. And this is the third game. And it's not only big because it's the third game, but also you're going to be able, I'm writing about it right now, you're going to be able to combine all 3 games into one, a la Hitman, and have this giant map where everything all plays together. It's all interconnected and every faction can fight every faction. But also on top of that, in the lore, you need to understand there's this empire called Cathay. And it was this giant Eastern Asian, Japanese, Chinese-inspired empire that was never explored. They never got figures. They never got lore books. It was always like, yeah, it exists over there somewhere. They're around. We're not going to talk about them, though. And Creative Assembly got permission from Games Workshop to explore them. They're like, hey, we want them to be a faction in our game. Can we include them? And they're working with them to create them for the very first time. So it's actually not just an adaptation of the tabletop. It's new lore and new stuff altogether. So it's a big thing for anyone who's a casual or major fan of the franchise. And it's coming out later this year on PC, and I can't wait. I'll shut up now. I promise.
No, absolutely don't. This is a franchise. Total War is literally that franchise that makes me look at my potato PC and go, you're a piece of garbage and nobody likes you. It looks like a completely brilliant game. I really can't wait to dive into it once I get this PC built. And I can, mug a small child for a graphics card. Or I guess, in the PC gaming space. Well, no, sorry. If you own a PS5, you stole it from a child this Christmas. If I grab a GPU, I'm snatching it from a Cheeto dusted WoW player. But
he said Cheeto dusted, Jared.
I was taking my hands to see if I got all the Cheeto dust off before I got on the podcast.
You just gotta wash it before the podcast, and you're good.
Absolutely, that's what I'm making sure.
But no, it's always exciting, and new games and our favorite franchises are always exciting. Total War for Sam is like Baldur's Gate for me, and is like new survival games for Jared, and things for Eric.
Man, I'm pretty excited for this one too. I haven't put much time into Warhammer Total War 2, but I'm definitely looking forward to the third one because I really like Warhammer. I basically grew up going to Games Workshop in Metrotown in Vancouver, BC, for the longest
Ooh,
time.
Nice.
My oldest brother, he worked there for like 3-4 years as basically a games master. So he learned to taught people how to play, and he was also one of the people that taught people how to paint the miniatures as well. So that was something I definitely enjoyed and spent a lot of time at those shops. So anything Warhammer, Fantasy, or 40K related, right up my alley. Absolutely. Like Dark Tide. Can't wait for that game.
Oh yeah, but especially with Dark Tide as well. This is going to be a good year. This is going to be a good year. We're gonna have to hit it up in co-op because it supports 2-player co-op campaigns. So when it comes out this year, we'll have to hit up a co-op campaign for sure.
Hell yeah, works for me.
All right, some awesome stuff. Now, actually, no. Before we move on, Eric, what's the one franchise you're trying to will into existence right now?
Oh, damn, man. I think you put me on the spot on that one.
More than happy to.
Splinter Cell.
There you go.
Damn, man. I swear it's that thing where it's like you can think about this all day and have like 15 in your head, and then when someone asks you, you're like, come back to me on that. Let me think about it. Because I want it to be a good one. I don't want to just be some
All right, we'll get you at the end of the show with it.
All right.
So I don't have a snazzy transition for this one. I wish I did. I really wish I could come up with something, but in my notes, I couldn't find anything. I just want to be proud of myself that I hit all those transitions without my notes in front of me, because my phone's in my car and I'm too lazy to go out to my car because I'm wearing shorts and it's minus 15 degrees Celsius in Canadaland and my nards would tuck into my chest. There's a visual representation that nobody needed at 9:18 p.m. on a Tuesday night. But as
you say that like I needed it any other time. It doesn't matter the day. It's like a reverse green eggs and ham. I will not listen to it here and there. I will not listen to it anyway.
That's great. All right. But Eric dropped this in the group chat, and I think it's a really interesting discussion topic is, the digital future. What is the biggest disadvantage of digital-only gaming? Eric said... Eric, I'm going to let you lead this off instead of trying to paraphrasing you. Eric, go.
Well, this is essentially just based off of a tweet. And I actually saw a second part of this, but the question was, what are some of the advantages of, digital-only gaming? Or what are some of the disadvantages, I should say? So I guess we can discuss either one, advantages, disadvantages, and then what are maybe advantages, disadvantages of physical, right? So, and then which one do we kind of prefer? So I'll just jump in on that portion of it. And I actually was thinking about it during the day, and I said, I'm very much, I won't say I'm 50-50. I was probably more like a 50-50 person in the last generation. When I say last generation, like, 360 leading into, early Xbox One, PS3, PS4 type, right? And a lot of it started coming down more so to collector's editions. But I started finding that I still preferred like the digital aspect of it because I like the idea of just jumping on my console and scrolling around, finding what I want to play, hitting it, and I'm in there. I don't have to keep switching discs, because sometimes the thing that I run into more so now with the 4K player, and there's like I don't have a standalone 4K player like I did DVD players around the house. So if I have a game in the console and I want to go and watch like a 4K movie, now I got to pull the game out, put the 4K in there, put the game back in the disc, and it's like I don't have to worry about that when I'm doing like digital, But so many times I want the steelbook for XYZ, and then I get the physical. But you know what I end up doing? I end up selling the disc and getting the digital and using that money to whatever. So it's like I'm all over the place with that. But what do you guys think? Like for you, what are some of the benefits of digital? What are some of the downsides? What do you think?
Garrett, Nick, either of you want to jump first or?
Okay. I mean, I don't have too much to say, honestly. Just because I think for me, it's kind of almost self-explanatory. I have them I'm not going to lose them. I'm not going to damage the discs to the point where I might not be able to play them again. I still understand that I own only the licenses and they can be revoked at any time and whatnot. That's understandable. And of course, it sucks that if your account gets shut down or suspended, or you lose access to it, all your games are gone. That does suck. So a physical has an advantage there. But the one biggest advantage of having a physical disc, in my mind, at least for me, the biggest concern is the longevity of it. There is something called disc decay. Your CDs will decay and start to rot and crack, and your film, or the silver film on it, will start to disappear. You'll start to get little holes in it, and they'll be basically corrupt the data and not make it readable. That does happen over about 10, 15 years, if I remember correctly. So at the 20-year mark, it gets really, really bad. But yeah, for me, it's just ease of access. I don't have to worry about it too much about, losing or breaking my discs. And yeah, and it's really just ease of access and peace of mind, basically, with my games.
That's a good way of putting it. That's a very good way of putting it. I definitely will concur. Like, there are advantages to physical gaming. I know John from Digital Foundry has always been like a big proponent of a console not needing an update and just being able to play a game with the disc straight out of the box. Like, I appreciate that. I respect it for archival purposes, but I don't think it translates well in practice. In practice, we're connected to the internet. In practice, we're able to download stuff. And Jared's correct. Like, at the end of the day, what would you rather have? A physical disc that, even with like 4K Blu-rays, they're a lot more resistant, but like slow decay of time can take its toll and corrupt them and that sort of thing. Even if it's better, like DVDs were awful about this, but it'll be better than DVDs. Bad. But still, do you want that or a digital license? And I know the argument, you don't own the game. Well, you don't own your games right now. That's the thing. How many games won't run until they're updated? How many games can you get kicked out for doing something? And granted, it's for being a piece of crap and breaking the terms of service or hacking or that sort of thing. But the point is, like, you can get kicked out for that sort of thing. Just embrace the digital future and have the license check with it. Like, it's that simple. Like, I go physical for collector's editions of stuff that I really like, especially with those snazzy steelbooks. Eric, I know you're on deck for the Best Buy Steelbook Rush as well.
Yep.
So I still go physical for those, but otherwise, I'm mostly digital at this point. I would say it's like a 75-25 split in favor of digital.
Right.
Is where I'm at.
Yeah, because that's the thing too, is like people had that misconception now. It's not like in the 360 PS3 era and prior to that. It's like essentially nowadays the disc is just a key. Because it's still downloading the actual game to your console. Right? Like for the most part. And like Sam said, if there's no updates, if there's no checks, you can still get locked out. That's still a possibility. It's just, it's not exactly, like the same scenario in that case. But yeah, like for me, I like the convenience of it, honestly. Or you could say laziness. It's just like, I don't want to keep switching out discs. And the other thing too is, like, I stopped collecting like comic books. I just didn't have, for a lot of different reasons. It wasn't just, big portion of it is comic book collecting starts to become very expensive over time. Books aren't as cheap as they used to be. But space, like, I looked up one day and I had like 15 long boxes of books, and I'm like, hey, I don't think I'm going to actually go back and read all of these. And B, it's like, where am I going to keep putting this? And every time I move, if I move somewhere, it's like I got to find somewhere to take all this. And then on top of that, you have games and collector's editions and statues and all these other things. And eventually you start to run out of room for all this stuff. Because I used to have like a tremendous DVD collection. And when like Roz and I got married, she had a tremendous DVD collection, and we didn't have anywhere to put everything. Like, I had like shelves of like DVDs. This is when like Circuit City was still around, and they would have the bins of $5 DVDs, and my buddies and I would just go there and just buy stuff just to buy it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool. Like, hey man, I'm hip and trendy. I'm a hipster. I got all these bookshelves full of DVDs. Look at this. And after a while, you're like, that one's still in shrink wrap. That one's still in shrink wrap. I don't even know when the hell I bought that one. And it's just the same thing, like in some cases with games. It's like, it's cool. like to have and look at. If that's your thing, like trust me, I do see pictures of people's collections. I'm like, hey, beautiful, that's your thing, go for it. That's not really like my thing anymore. So I just kind of like having everything in like one place. I can just kind of scroll around like a jukebox and just kind of pick what I want to play, and I'm in there, and I'm out climbing in the back of the case or going down the bookshelf or wherever you keep them and trying to find the disc. Popping that in, and then maybe want to switch something else. It's just become a convenience thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, it's always been a financial thing for me on physical versus digital. Back a few years ago, around just before I had kids and when I first had my daughters, I always bought physical because the trade-in value was what got me to my next game.
Right.
Because I was one of those people that I take advantage of the EB Games thing. You beat the game in 7 days, you could trade back in for a full price game. I'd quite often get a game, complete it, trade it back in, bank it down to my next pre-order, and that was how I played games. And then when, money started getting a bit better and everything else, I kept buying physical because I was like, it's really cool to physically have something in your hand that's like, hey, this is a piece of media that I own, especially with steel books and things like that. But at the time, I had a 2-year-old and I had a 3-year-old. Discs or Frisbees, coasters, just about anything. Or just the sheer fact that I had my niece over and she dumped my me and my wife went for dinner. My sister-in-law babysat my niece and my 2 kids, and they completely decimated my game shelf. And all the manuals were in different cases, and all the games were in different cases. And that was the day I went, fuck this, I'm going digital.
Right.
I bought predominantly physical for my PlayStation 4 because I mainly bought single-player games. So I beat them, traded them in, buy the next PS4 exclusive. That's kind of how I was doing that. Xbox One, I mainly went digital. And like for my Xbox Series X, I put Yakuza Like a Dragon in on launch day. And it's still in there because it's basically my only physical game. But I mainly play digital now. And, it doesn't really bother me because, I played PC in the early days and late into the early 2000s and when the digital transition happened there. You don't see too many PC players. They're like, damn it, I'm holding out for the physical copy. No. Don't do that. Nobody likes that.
Yeah, because that shift happened.
Yeah.
It's done. It's done.
It's dead and gone for better or for worse because some of those PC jewel cases were. But the thing is digital is convenience. As Eric said, it's first world problems central when our biggest conundrum is, I got to get up and put a different disc in. Why don't these consoles have multi-disc changers? Like, you remember the DVD players? You could put 5 discs in and you would rotate it. That was like the best thing in the world.
Yeah. Consoles
don't have that yet. So until that piece of high-end technology returns, we're stuck with the single disc slot. And in which case, I'll be going digital going forward. And as Jared brilliantly mentioned too, is, I always see the argument, well, I have a physical disc. I'm like, put your physical disc of Battleborn into your PS4 and see where you go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't own these games. There's
Why would you have it like that?
Because I know there's only like 3 people that play Battleborn that will get offended by that joke.
Funny part is I used to be really good at Battleborn. Played Wrath all the time.
I don't even
got MVP every match, just about. It was great.
The only thing I remember about Battleborn was Randy Pitchford bragging that there was more fan art porn about Battleborn than Overwatch. And even that battle they didn't even win in the end.
Oh, Lord, man.
But yeah.
Don't feel too bad for him. He's got how much money for medieval times now?
Do you know how many USB drives you can buy with 1.2 billion?
Apparently not a secure one.
Touche. But yeah, I think digital media, everyone's becoming more and more comfortable with digital media. There are caveats to, ownership and everything else that need to be figured out. And like a lot of us have given up basic ownership of things that we always owned. Like, it's so weird growing up as a kid I'm sure it's, even weirder for like some like Eric's age, but like for me growing up where like tape cassettes, and then it quickly went to CDs because like it switched to CDs in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was still like a kid. So it was like tape cassettes, CDs, everything's on iTunes, Spotify. You don't own your music, and
you missed the Laserdisc phase.
Oh God.
We're at Laserdisc. I remember that. I actually never had one, but I remember that. Yeah. But yeah, we're actually at a point now where it's odd to buy music like on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. It's like you're either like in a streaming service of some sort, like Spotify or something like. It's crazy how music is gone.
Yeah. And you kind of look at it as, games switch to digital, and you've got services like PlayStation Now and Game Pass where a lot of people, well, not so much for PlayStation Now, but a lot of people use the service without having any ownership of the games within. They have the option to buy those games. It's not like Spotify where you stream it or that's it. I don't think you can buy music directly from Spotify. I don't know why you'd want to do that either. But a lot of people don't have a problem with lack of ownership. And that comes from the fact my entire generation has just completely signed itself off that we're never going to own a house. So, no, God, that got dark way faster than I meant it to. But it's the kind of thing is we're slowly giving away our rights to ownership. And I'm not sure how this is going to play out in the long run. But right now, convenience is king.
Yep. Just is what it's not just convenience. Like we say convenience, but it's physical space as well. There's no limit on how many games I can have tethered to my accounts. There is an admittedly high limit, but there is a limit to how many games and boxes I can have stacked in my house. There's a limit.
And see, there's that conundrum. I would have a big physical collection if I didn't live in a 2-bedroom apartment. Here we go. But that's the thing. It's like space, everything else. Like I have a collectible bookshelf, which if I keep buying stuff for, I'm gonna have to start like a seasonal rotation of what gets to be out and what gets to be shoved in the closet. And that's space is tight. Try and find a 1-bedroom apartment in San Francisco for under $4,000. It's a challenge.
Right. Look there.
Yeah. And convenience, downsizing, space. And I think what really killed physical discs this generation is the one thing physical discs always had, especially in the 360 and PS3 era, was, I could just put the disc in and play. Now, you don't even get that. You go to the midnight launch, your friend's already got preloaded digitally, and as soon as it hits 12, or he's changed his time zone to New Zealand, and he's playing it at 8 o'clock at night, because everyone becomes a New Zealander at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And he's already playing it, but you're going to a midnight launch. You get the physical game back. You take that nice wrap off. You take the disc out. You put it in. It starts installing away, and then it goes boop. 36 gigabyte day one patch. You start that install. You pop your popcorn. You eat your popcorn. You drink your 3 beers. You pass out at your desk. Bing! It's done installing at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you got to go to work. Not a true story at all about anything related to Doom Eternal. But that's just the way we are right now. And I think COVID accelerated digital sales in a big way, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. Anyone else? Any closing thoughts?
It's all true. But then, if you want to leave the other part of that question, we were talking about the Mass Effect Legendary Cash Edition.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, for sure.
The kind of seeing some of the back and forth on that. Some people saying, well, they weren't going to buy it because there's no disc or game with it, and some people are kind of like all about it. And I was kind of the mind at first, like, oh, there's no game in there, but I don't see anybody wanting to do that. And the more I thought about it, I was like, it's $150, so they're taking away the cost of the game, because if the game was in there, it's easily $200, $220 or whatever, right?
Yep.
But then now you have the option to say, look, I don't have to dedicate to a platform to buy this thing. I can just pick it up, Yep. And also, if I can decide if I'm going to buy a digital, I'll buy a digital. If I'm going to buy a physical, I can buy a physical. but I can still get the benefit of having the Steelbook and the collector edition items without having to, pick a platform and God forbid I want to switch platforms because I'm a multi-platform player and now that one particular version's run out. I can't get that one anymore, So yeah, I think going forward, especially if this one like blows up and sells, I think you'll probably see more of that happening. Where it's like you pick the game that you want or whatever the case may be. Because I know there were some scenarios, not many, throughout the prior generation where you got some of these collector's editions that had like a like multiple like tiers. Like one version would come with a disc. I think Battlefield did this.
Battlefield 1, if I remember correctly. Yep.
Yeah, Battlefield 1, like they had a version with a disc, and they had one without, and they had one with the digital code. Now that's pretty confusing. So I think it's better just to say, yeah, here's this separate thing that you can buy that goes along with this, but then you go out and buy whichever version of the game that you want. Have at it. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, I actually took advantage of one of those. Back when State of Decay 2 released, I remember they got a lot of flack. They were releasing a collector's edition where it didn't have the game, and everyone was like, well, why would you want the collector's edition without the game? Me with the digital pre-download buys collector's edition.
I mean, yeah, like it's definitely. I understand people saying, "Well, I don't want to buy the game separately," and like, if you're going to do this, publishers, you do need to price it appropriately. I will say that you can't take advantage of it and not price it appropriately. But that being said, otherwise, it is way better of an option. This way, they don't have to produce 3 different ones. They don't have to make a separate one for PC and Xbox and PS4. And God help you if there's like the whole separate physical thing on PS4 and PS5 disc and doing cross-gen versions. Like, God help you on that front. But like, it's just one version of the game. Comes with a Steelbook. Maybe you want to take advantage of that. Maybe you're going to buy the game digitally and you just want the Steelbook. Oh, I'm sorry. Just overall, I think it is the better option by far and large.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Like someone like me, I usually just buy the digital game because I'm impatient and I want to play it right up on the hour, right then and there. I ain't waiting until the next day. But, I still like to have the collector's edition as well. So if I can buy that separately and not have to worry about a second copy of the game being in my hands, then sweet. And that also reduces the price of the collector's edition by a little bit too, usually. But yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Y'all made some excellent points. Pricing appropriately is huge. I think one thing that I'd like to see publishers do a bit more, I'm not accusing any publishers of doing shady things, but in the title of your collector's edition, game disc not included. Just put it in the title. Don't put it in the description. Because even a savvy consumer like myself, little quick story time, I bought a mic boon on Amazon, and the literal title for the mic boon was Blue Yeti mic boom. I was like, sweet, it'll work perfect with my Blue Yeti. So I bought it. I got it here. My Yeti's literally so heavy, it just makes it hit the ground at my desk. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I go back to the product, go into the description, and it goes, does not actually support Blue Yeti microphones. And I'm like, how do y'all get away with that? Clear phrasing, put it in the title, game not included. It'll save your poor sales department I bought this game and it doesn't have the game. What the hell are you guys doing emails? Because they happen. It's like the people that buy the Xbox digital consoles and can't figure out why they can't put a disc in them. It's a real problem that way more people have than you ever want to know. And the number 2 thing is the flexibility of the collector's editions and everything else. I like this option because there's something I really hate is you buy an ultimate edition via, a digital ultimate edition on Xbox or PlayStation. I don't want no goddamn digital art book. I want a goddamn digital copy with a physical art book. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sitting there in front of my TV scrolling through a digital art book.
Sam, you're muted.
I don't know. I didn't mean to be muted there. They haven't figured out how to make the digital art books compelling. I will agree on that one. That's when soundtrack. Sure. Give me a disc or give me a code for the soundtrack. Either way, but like the art book, like there's something about flipping the pages of the coffee table book, and they haven't figured out how to give it in a compelling fashion. Like I know PlayStation started doing the whole thing of like, oh, you get a digital art book you can download, or a digital comic you can download on your PS4. This ain't it, fam.
I'm good.
This ain't it. We're not doing this.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's way more appealing. Like I got a whole shelf with probably about 15 art books, video game art books, and it's there's a reason why I get physical over any digital edition. I'm sure I can get the Kindle edition or the $6 Kindle edition or the $80 paper and with the nice canvas print and whatnot and custom looks, and I'd much rather have that. Very much more satisfying. Plus, it's a nice conversation piece when you get people over. You put that down, or a few bucks and nice view, and you go, "You play games? Yeah." And it goes from there.
Really couldn't tell from your room, Jared, that you play games at all.
My office. Okay.
I think this guy's in marketing.
I could be. You never know. I got Futurama right behind me here.
That just means you're a man of taste.
This is true.
But yeah, no, the physical versus digital with the art book. My mom was like, back before lockdown, the last time I was over, she got the art book for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And she's like, you have to check this out. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. And she pulls out her Kindle, and I wanted to cry. I do not want to. No, I do not. Can't do art books on tablets. No. Crime. Crime. Shame on you if you do that. But also shame on me because this is the end of the podcast. That was a bad segue. Oh well.
Well, you had like, that was bad. Ooh, that was rough.
You had time to think about one.
Yeah, no, I know, Derek. He had so much time, and that's what he gives us. But to be fair, he did all the others fantastic.
This is true.
This is a big transition period for the podcast, so the segues will get better. The dad jokes won't, though. They simply will not. But you know what gets better every episode? Eric, where can people find you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. And when I'm not here with you fine gentlemen, I can be found on Brat Podcast Wednesday nights at 9:00.
Absolutely. And Sam, where can people find you when you're not cruising around here?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert, mostly just sharing gaming news, pics of food, pics of my pup, my cat, talking about stuff. Come yell at me. It's fun. And then you can find me writing over at Windows Central and its sister sites. So
awesome. And Jared, where can people find you, my friend?
Well, you can also find me on Twitter at PickedOffWriter, and you can also find all my fun writing stuff over at Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore.
Absolutely. And if you're stupid enough to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Undead3XVI, where you'll find just terrible, terrible tweets. But lots of gameplay. So exceptions to rules. You can also find my written work at Android Central, as I'm starting that this week and doing news coverage over there. And there will be some opinion stuff down the line once I accustom myself to my work schedule. Maybe some stuff on Medium for some interesting insights and stuff. That stuff won't be going away. It's just taking a break so that I can adjust to my work schedule, because my daytime job work schedule it don't like me right now. But we're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy our content. We will finally be recording the BioShock Infinite episode this week. All of this fault lies on me. I've been working 6 days a week for the past 5 weeks. So trying to plan recording times around the fact of I don't know how many days in a week I'm going to work. I've got a long weekend. I put in quotations long weekend because it could turn into a short weekend. Regardless, I'll have at least 2 days off this week. So we'll probably get that recorded and uploaded. Shooting for next week. And it's going to have some fancy editing and some doodads in it, because I know that's what the kids love in their videos these days, doodads and pizza. So we will see you guys next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye.